So I thought what would be best is just to actually speak on what's working. So, so my takeaway for you guys, you come to conferences, you hear a lot of people speaking, is if you can take a couple nuggets away from this, that would be a success that you can then go implement on your site successfully. Best way to do that, clicker's working? There we go. Best way to do that, I wanted to actually take a look at 3 different case studies that we have. I'll back up here so you can see as well. First off, Facebook did a case study this year with, or last year with Cafe Press. And Jason, you guys heard this morning speak. Cafe Press, as I'm sure he told you, is one of the premier online personalization, customization, printing sites. They also are very involved in photography and printing of large canvases, large format artwork. Linden Tablecloth, you would not think is a social brand, but actually they're a $20 million retailer, and they deployed a lot of different online social techniques. And then Carol's Daughter, actually somewhat local, New York City-based health and beauty type site, and wanted to discuss that as well. What all of these brands have, and before you can put a successful social program into place, is you need to have a good strategy. And it's unfortunate, but I've probably been in the last 3 years on at least 100 calls that start off with, Facebook sucks, I can't get my ROI, offers are not working, sponsored stories are just a waste of money, blah, blah, blah. And many of those people are telling the truth. I mean, that's been their example. That's been their proof that they've had to go back to management with, is it wasn't working. And oftentimes it's because they have the wrong strategy. Conventionally, people have, and organizations have let their organization, the brand itself, actually push out those messages. So, you're Nike and you just came out with the newest, greatest running shoe and you create this ad that says that. Well, that's what you expect. As consumers, we expect that to come from Nike. We expect them to tell us that their shoe is the most fantastic in the world. But if you could actually have a consumer, someone who's actually worn those shoes, tell you that, hey, look, that's a fantastic shoe, it's lightweight, it breathes, it's supportive, all those things that are important for a running shoe, that's going to give you way more credibility. This chart here was done by Forrester Research, and what they were trying to do is actually tell you the differences in trust. So as a consumer, what do you trust more? Do you trust brand, advertising, and promotions? Or do you actually trust your friends and family? And of course, obviously, it's friends and family. Look, all the way at the top, 70% trust factor. You can also roll into this a few other added benefits, such as if you get your friends and family not only to tell you about a brand or about a product, but to also write a testimonial. Those can have a huge impact on your SEO efforts. They can also be picked up in search and so on and so forth. So once again, very, very important to have the right strategy. If you start off with the right strategy, then you're going to be able to obviously do extremely well. And when you take advantage of Facebook offers, you take advantage of sponsored stories, and they'll start to pay off for you. The other thing I mentioned, on these calls, there is a ton of confusion about Facebook. I mean, I've been in this business for 3 years, and I don't claim to be an expert on anything that Facebook does. They have 28 different ad products. They just announced about 2 months ago that they're going to be curtailing many of those. And the reason is it's just too confusing. As a merchandiser or marketer, you go in, you take a look, and you're like, oh my gosh, what is all this stuff? How do I even begin to test? I don't have the budget, et cetera. But they're going to cut those down in half. I think you'll see like sponsored stories is already going to be merged with this new kind of super ad that's hopefully more contextual. Hopefully it will be received better by consumers, and it'll be optimized easier, so it'll be more effective. So hopefully that will help us a little bit. Let's jump into a couple case studies. Facebook. So again, Facebook case study was done in conjunction with Cafe Press, and they really utilized a few different tools. One was to take a look at the actual, how do you acquire fans? Can we acquire fans in such a way that once they're acquired, we can monetize those guys successfully? They're going to be highly qualified. I think the days of acquiring fans just to ring the register, if you will, and ring the counter so that you say, hey, I have 1 million fans, those are over, because people did that. They did it through these crazy promotions and things that were totally unrelated to their brand and their products. And the net result was they can't monetize them. They're lousy fans. They don't interact with the brand. So first you have to build your fan base, and you have to do it successfully. Cafe Press built over 400,000 fans last year, very successfully, and they're highly qualified fans. Next, you need to monetize them. And in this case study, it actually depicts that they monetized it by doing an off-site campaign, which was a flash sale. There was a separate landing page. So you were driving traffic to this optimized landing page. You could even add some social elements, social proof to that landing page, and it had some incredible results. And then lastly, we created the whole concept of brand ambassadors. That's going back to what Forrester said. That's the word-of-mouth marketing. How do you get your customers to preach the glories of your products and your brand? And that's so, so important. And they did a really, really good job of that. So let's take a look at some of the results. First off, they had a 6 times return on advertising spend. And that was significantly higher than anything else they use on any other platforms. 4 times higher revenue from this campaign, which was higher than all other combined different programs that they had, all the other channels. And then, by the way, that did include email, and that also included banners. So, you know, the old, you know, I've been doing this for 25 years, and everybody has large email databases, and you have a certain metric to what you can achieve by marketing through that database. Very seldom can you actually create a promotion and send it to your fan base and outperform your email database. But in this case, they were able to do so. 18% sales conversion rate. 55% of the impressions were delivered in the news feed, which means people were willing and wanting to talk about it. And then, of course, 2 times higher than average sales conversions. So very, very successful. And I guess, you know, all this data goes back to show you that, you know, if you do have high quality fans, and if you market to them appropriately with the right promotions, create some urgency, you can have some fantastic, meaningful ROI. Cafe Press was, you know, a little bit of off-site in the sense that it was a landing page. We also had the ability to share that promotion, which was that word-of-mouth marketing. So with Carol's Daughter, we're going to take a little turn, and we're going to, it's a significantly smaller account, totally different market segment. They're in the health and beauty, all natural, skin care, hair care products. And they wanted to add new social elements to their site, even though they had a fantastic social following already. Very passionate group, very engaged fan group before we started. So they took a very, very conservative approach when they started with us. But the results spoke for themselves. They added some social modules, and we are attributed with 8% of the total sales. So by adding the right social modules, you can have a very meaningful ROI. Secondly, they had 2.5 times increase, conversion rate, I should say, for those visitors that came through the social tools as opposed to their normal everyday visitors. How did they accomplish this? Well, they did a couple different things. First off, they were building their fan base. So instead of acquiring fans through, as we talked about, those kind of crazy methodologies, this is one of the ways for which you can acquire fans that are very qualified. This particular module can be totally customized for look and feel, et cetera. But the beauty of it is that they're using promotions that would normally be on their site anyhow. This is just 10% off. They use that all the time in their campaigns. But now it's presented differently to a visitor to their site who has already expressed an interest in these types of products, and they're able to convert them at a very, very high rate. They can also target this module any way they want. So if you don't want it on the home page and you only want to show it to people that have been on their site for 3 minutes, you can do that as well. And that may give you an even more qualified fan. Additionally, this particular app has the ability to get an incredibly high conversion as well as to acquire email addresses from people that interact with it. So these guys specifically, you know, did generate a tremendous amount of fans, hundreds and hundreds of fans each and every day, and then also had a 33% conversion rate. So that means that 10% offer, 33% of the people converted on that. Very, very high conversion rate. A large number of those people, you didn't see it in that example, but as you elect to share that and you get your 10% off coupon, you can actually email that to yourself. So another 5 to 10% of those people actually email themselves that offer. They can opt into your newsletter, so it becomes an opportunity for you to build your newsletter database also. Another thing Carol's Daughter did was on the post-purchase side. So now you've made a purchase, and now you want to share it. So this is going back to that word-of-mouth branding, right? In this particular module, there's 3 different examples here. This isn't Carol's Daughter that I put up, but you can see the sharing that's on here. So if I wanted to comment about that particular shirt, I could write any comment I want. any other product up there I want. I can share it on Facebook. I can share it on Twitter. I can actually share it via mobile. Net result is I get a variety of these testimonials. I get all this sharing activity that can then be put into a community like this. By the way, all of these comments can also be taken back to the actual product page on the site. So Carol's daughter doesn't have this implemented today, but these comments are in the process of being aggregated, and as soon as they feel they have enough comments, they are going to be posting those back onto their site, which is fantastic, not only for the affirmation and the social proof, but it's also fantastic for from an SEO point of view. The results on this, here's a little blow up. You can't read it too well here. But anyway, you can just see from here. So what that heart means, that's 480 people have bought and shared this particular product. 11 people have commented on it. One to the left, you can see 131 and 36 comments. So variety of comment ratios. I love this. I love the smells. It's so clean, so fresh. One person wrote. I love the fact that Carol's daughter's products do exactly what they're meant to do. Thank you. So great comments, just social proof. They're not really a review, just a social comment. And again, the results that these guys saw was thousands of these types of testimonials, not only available for them to use in Facebook and Twitter and their social community, but also to put back on their site. And then the other thing that was kind of interesting was the people that were responding and interacting with these apps, over 25% of them were really large, quote-unquote, brand ambassadors. If you consider anybody with over 500 friends on Facebook, I think the average is around 200, maybe it's 250 now. But these over 25% of the folks that were interacting were over the 500 mark, which is very significant. And then lastly, linen tablecloths. So who would have ever thought that these tablecloths would have been social? $20 million company. Their motto is elegant and affordable tablecloths and linens. And they wanted to add some social to their site. So again, another case study. And by the way, these case studies are available for you guys if you want after. Anyway, 4 times higher sales rate conversion. So again, we're seeing that sales conversion increase greatly. 1.8 million projected increase in revenues. They're about a $20 million company, so you can kind of do the math there. Nice little jump. Hundreds of visitors converted into qualified Facebook fans. These guys are using both that fan acquisition module as well as some other refer a product to a friend type scenarios. The SEO ranking, this is something, and I got a slide here next that is, again, another takeaway, is the impact that social signals can have on your SEO programs. So I don't know how many of you here are involved in SEO. Typically the folks we initially talk to aren't necessarily responsible for SEO, but when they find out the benefits of it, we soon have the SEO person involved in the calls. Hundreds of brand-friendly user-generated posts. Again, those are posts that are being shared with their friends, so it's very successful. And then, of course, those posts that are being shared with their friends, they result in their friends seeing it, coming back, making additional site visits, etc. This is what I was talking about when I referred to from an SEO point of view. This was actually done by Searchmetrics. It came out late last year. I'm sure you've seen, if you're involved in SEO, you've probably seen something like this before. But really compelling. I mean, I'm not an SEO expert by any means, but they were trying to figure out here, what are the top influencers for your SEO ranking? And the top 5 of them are social. So there's the tweets, and there's the Facebook likes, and the shares, and the comments, and so on and so forth. And then, of course, there's backlinks, which everybody knows is a big driver for social, or for SEO. So very, very important. All of these comments that are being generated, whether they be through shared purchases or someone just seeing a cool product on your site they want to tell their friends, all of that can be very, very beneficial to your SEO efforts. And then lastly, I think you guys should all have on your tables these, just a little handout, whatever. So just to give you some background information on this, so this was comprised, the data that's on the front here was comprised of 200 plus clients that we work with. And you can see that 2012 to 2013 was a very impressive banner year for social. I heard someone in the hall talking about, and I wasn't here for all the other conversations this morning, but I heard them talking about how social is finally becoming of age here. 2-3 years ago it was all the hype, and then Facebook IPO dived and a few other issues. But yeah, tremendous growth. Increase in sales from social traffic is 357% we've seen over our network of 200 folks. Oops, sorry, wrong way. On-site, so again, this is going back to kind of the Facebook Cafe Press thing. So when you're on-site, you can do some social couponing. You can do social polling, which you can ask a friend for some help. You're not sure what to buy. You're looking at this nice, $2,500 road bike. You're not a huge biker. You're going to be. But you want to ask a couple of your buddies, which one you should buy. You can do some polling. And then you can also share those purchases as you make them. Again, social traffic, 17.8% revenue uplift from the social traffic. That means the traffic that's coming to my site today is going to generate a certain amount of revenues, but the social traffic that's being generated through these channels and apps are going to generate 17.8% higher. 8% increase in traffic attributed to social sharing. Acquisition rate was 2.1 times higher for visitors acquired through social referrals. Pretty impressive. And 91% of all e-commerce merchants saw a lift in their SEO ranking. Again, another big win for social on that side. And then off-site, again, flash sales. We talked about that. Can be very beneficial for you. Combining that with some sort of optimized landing page. In this case, we saw a 63% average increase in sales from email campaigns, and that resulted in a $17 revenue per fan from flash sales on Facebook. So we've done a tremendous number of flash sales on that. And then lastly, the quality of the Facebook fan matters. Okay, so hopefully that's one of the points you'll take home, not only just the SEO, but it all starts with developing and getting and acquiring a good amount of quality Facebook fans. Whether it's, you're at 100,000 or you're at 1 million, you want to have the quality fans so you can then market to them and they'll engage with you. They have a 3.2 times more revenue per qualified fan and a 14.7 times higher engagement rate. So it's well worth your time and effort to figure out a program that will get you to where you need to be. That's it. I do have all those case studies are available on our website. You can also email me. And any questions, I'll take those at this time.
Anything, excuse me, anything for Rob? All right.
All good.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.